¿Qué tal, gente? Muy buenas noches. My name is Rodrigo Garcia. I am the Artistic Director of Teatro Visión and your host for tonight. Bienvenidos a la Hora del Mitote. We thank you for joining us tonight. La Hora del Mitote se transmite cada viernes a las 7 de la noche por nuestra página de Facebook, en nuestro canal de YouTube, y ahora estaremos también en el canal de Create TV, en el canal 30, que se llama The Outlet. Así que nos pueden sintonizar en todos estos lugares. You can see us in all these places, Facebook, YouTube, and Create TV channel 30th. Thank you, thank you. We invite you to participate by sending us your questions and comments. And first, I would like to start off by acknowledging that we are guests on the ancestral land of the Muwekma Ohlone people who continue to live and thrive in our local community today. Me gustaría comenzar reconociendo que somos huéspedes aquí en la tierra ancestral del pueblo Muwekma Ohlone que continúa viviendo y prosperando en nuestra comunidad local hoy. Como cada viernes, tenemos invitados excelentes y excepcionales. Hoy no es la excepción. Hoy tenemos a una gran artista. Elizabeth Jiménez Montelongo está con nosotros, una artista visual, una poeta y también es una maestra, es una instructora. She's a visual artist, a poet, and a teacher here in the San Francisco Bay Area. Bienvenida, Elizabeth. Welcome to La Hora del Mitote. ¿Cómo estás?
Gracias, Rodrigo. It's great to be here.
Elizabeth, let's start, talking about who is Elizabeth Jiménez Montelongo. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yes, as you said, I am a visual artist. I mostly use oil paint on canvas. I use acrylic and ink on wood, like in the painting here behind me. And I also sculpt. I make alebrije sculptures using a cartoneria process, what's known as paper mache. And I am a poet. I've written a lot of poetry. I'm working on getting my first book published soon. And right now I'm a 2021 creative ambassador of the San Jose Office of Cultural Affairs. So I have my project Palabras en Poetry, and that is a community poetry writing event series where I'm partnering with local organizations to offer workshops for the community where I share some poetry, but it's mostly about having participants write their own poetry and share it. So kind of like a poetry writing circle. And I guess I'll mention a few things about, I also consider myself a teacher, educator, instructor. I do teach art classes. Like I said, I teach or lead the poetry workshops. And I also work in like academic kind of education as well. So, a lot of that work is with children, small children all the way up to high school, and my art workshops and that kind of programming has been for children and also all the way up to adults and families, so mixed groups.
I had an opportunity to visit your website, which is here, ejmontelongo.com. And I was really, it was very pleasant experience to see your work there display, read about the work that you do. And it's wonderful to see artists so, completas como tú y con una trayectoria muy vasta. You've had, you presented your work in many different places, not only locally, but, outside of the area.
Mm-hmm.
I'm interested to know, how did you get to where you are right now in terms of how do you created that identity as an artist and the focus and the themes that you bring through your art?
Right. Well, it was a long process. The artwork itself, my inspiration has come a lot from initially from the danzantes, like the indigenous dance from the Mexica, known as Aztec culture. There's a lot of a lot of like people and groups here in the area, in the Bay Area, and I was able to just be introduced to that here in San Jose and be able to participate. And so that even before I participated as a danzante, I was just really inspired by the danzas, like the like the drumming and the movement of it, the color, everything. Like something about it just felt really powerful to me, and like it just like drew me in. And so the first series of work that I started exhibiting, it's called the Euphoric Dance of the Unconquered Mind, and that whole series is it's based on danzantes. So I would take I take pictures like in motion. So in a lot of them, you can't tell like you can't see details. Sometimes you can't even tell it's a danzante, but you can see like the colors and parts of like the headdresses, the copilis, feathers, and just all the color and just the like the essence of it. And so that was one of my series of work. And then my other series of work called Transformación, which is mainly acrylic ink and other mixed media, sometimes found objects. That series it's inspired by a lot of what I learned about like indigenous culture or Mexica philosophy or just my own experiences, and the aesthetics, like the look of it, it's influenced also by like art in the the indigenous books, like the what's known as the codices. So I get a lot of my inspiration from that.
And how has been your art? What has been the impact of the work that you create, the art that you create in your community, in your immediate community?
The impact of it. Sorry, I have my little one here, and
That's
she's
okay.
5. She
Little,
distracted me a little bit. She's
it's
yeah.
okay. Yeah, how has your
Um,
work been received, and how has people reacted to the work that you create?
well, I've had a lot of support, which I'm grateful for. It's like it's mixed, I guess mixed like reactions or appreciation of my work. Um, like people that relate to the themes and that like like the colorfulness, which is it's very like very Mexican. I guess that comes from like a Mexican culture, just loving all that color and like indigenous culture. So people that that relate to that or just appreciate it, like they tend to like my work. And so I've had a lot of support. There's a great art community in San Jose that that welcomed me and encouraged me to participate in exhibitions. In the beginning, I just started just myself like submitting my work to different shows, both in the area and in other parts of the country. And so that's how I started exhibiting locally and elsewhere. And I had a lot of support from a group of artists on the East Coast, based in the New York, New Jersey area. There's a collective and a exhibition project called the We Are You Project. So I'm a part of that. And yeah, they were very, very welcoming. This was like very early on in my, like very early when I started exhibiting. And so yeah, they welcomed me, to go out for us to meet in person. But since that first exhibition that we had together for that project, like they've been very like encouraging and supportive. And I'm also part of the Neo Latino collective that's also based on the East Coast. And yeah, other than that support and like some local support, I just submit my work for exhibitions. And my next exhibition, well, my next solo exhibition will be in San Antonio, Texas. In 2023, it was postponed an additional year because of the pandemic, and that'll be at Centro de Artes. So I'm looking forward to that, and I'll be exhibiting work from the Euphoric dance of the Unconquered minds, so the oil paintings of the danzantes.
Is anybody else in your family a visual artist, or de dónde heredaste este deseo de expresarte a través de imágenes? Or what has been your influence?
It's just, for me, it's just something I always like to do. Like, you know, I was one of those kids that's always like drawing and painting just from an early age. I remember some of the projects I used to work on, even, you know, like at the age of 5. I have like some memories of like things I worked on. But yeah, it's just something that I just naturally like was drawn to, something I just enjoy. And so my goal, like even in attending college, was just to like to learn more about just get more experience in art, like learn different media and different techniques, and just, you know, explore the arts more. But since, you know, like in recent years, my mom's also, she's been working on, you know, like art lately, and really beautiful stuff. So so I love to see that. And I have my mom's aunt, my great aunt, paz descanse, she started painting like I think in her like late 80s. She started painting like yeah, she has some beautiful paintings. And my dad's mentioned on his side of the family, there was a poet, a writer. Yeah, but I didn't know about this like early on. It's just something that I love. But you know, I think like everybody has a creative side, and you know, sometimes it comes out early, sometimes it comes out later. It's just something that, you know, we need to explore if we like it. So yeah, might be in the genes or just, you know, in the spirit.
Well, I think in a way um, it's very very interesting to know that you know, other people in your family have had or have that same interest. But something that you mentioned, and I think it's really true, that we all have a creative side. Don't know how to break through the barriers of pues me da pena, or feeling like what we do is not good enough. What advice would you give to folks to just let go of these ideas that prevent them from exploring the creative side?
That is something I think about a lot. Like lately when I've been facilitating these poetry events for palabras and poetry, some people do mention, you know, like, oh, I'm not a writer, or this, you know, this isn't very creative, or this isn't very good. But they share anyway, and you know, it's always like beautiful to hear other people's expression in words. And you know, they might be judging themselves, but just the fact that it's like very like authentic expression, it has a lot of value. And I always encourage people like to focus on just the fact that, you know, that they created whatever they made, and that it's not something like to be like judged, or you know, there's like no what do you call it, like, you know, like nobody has the authority to say like that's good or that's bad. Like, it's just every person's individual expression. If people like it or not, that's just their taste. Like, that doesn't mean anything. um you know, there's people that love my artwork, and there's people that I'm sure like think, you know, it's just not good. And you know, that has nothing really to do with the work. It's just their response to it. So I try to encourage people to, to realize that, and yeah, just experience it and enjoy what they make. And when I work with children, I tell them the same thing, like, and they're actually, they're more likely to be like very proud of what they make, which I love. Like they haven't like internalized all that judgment yet. Like they just enjoy the experience. They know, like they have their vision for it. They bring that vision into like, tangible reality as best they can, and they appreciate what they make. Like they see it in a different way. I think they realize, like, like say a sculpture or something, like the little alebrije sculptures I've taught children to make. They they design it, they make it, and they realize that it's, like that was their work, like it was their idea, like their hands created this, and yeah, and they like appreciate it. So yeah, I would just suggest people just create, do whatever, whatever they feel, and don't judge it.
I think there is something to say about what some people might think that the word art or the concept of art and creativity are not linked. We usually associate art with a very just for an elite of people, or for gifted individuals who have a very special talent. Y yo creo que eso, this idea that art it's only for some gifted people with special skills, that prevents folks from exploring that creative side, right? Porque dice, no, es que lo que yo hago no es arte. What I do is not art. And I think once we take out that idea, then people just start being creative. Yo siempre digo, there is a lot of creativity on cooking, and las personas que les gusta cocinar, they might not realize that that's creativity, or making a dress, or making clothes, or working on a garden. All that is creativity. But again, I think when we look at art, we think of something greater than, and it is part of our, of a human experience, but it's not only for some people. I think anybody can be creative, and anybody can call what they do art. There is art on that. So thank you for anything.
Sorry, the audio slowed down a bit on when you were
No, I
talking.
would say, would you like to add anything to this thought?
Yes. Yes, I was going to add that so we've been talking about this with, the other creative ambassadors of the San Jose Office of Cultural Affairs. There's a, like the 408 We Create month is like this month in April. And so they've been, there are prompts on the website that encourage people to like show their creativity, to share it and just acknowledge it, like in things like you mentioned, like like cooking, or even if you're just dancing by yourself in your kitchen or something, like that's creative energy right there. So so yeah, like we've talked about that, how everyone has, yeah, their different forms of creativity, and creativity is something that's like in daily life. And I really, like, I'm not sure where, the idea about, you're right, like, that idea of thinking that like art's for like gifted people, and like, the select few, and, that idea of like fine art and everything. And I'm not sure at what point that gets into like, really like into people's minds. I think maybe, I don't know, just the way maybe art is presented in schools, and, the whole like silence in the museums and galleries. except for receptions and stuff. But I think, people have this idea, it's like, somewhere where you're just like quiet and looking, and instead of, like realizing it should be something like interactive where like, even if you're just there to see the art, but you still like, you can like talk about it, discuss it, even like make something related to it later. And, I think there are a lot of, it's great that there are a lot of like activities going on in like galleries and museums now where people can go in and like make stuff as well. And a lot of it's like related to the art that's hanging there. But yeah, people still do have that like that idea of art as something like, yeah, it's just a different view of art. And that I really don't like that idea of like the fine art versus craft. I know there is a difference, or there's differences that people are noticing when they mention that, but a lot of it is also just like that hierarchy kind of thinking about art, like giving more value to a certain kind of art, either because of like the people that appreciate it, or just like who that person is that's making it, or just it fits the ideas of the people that can say like this belongs in a museum and that doesn't. um,
Exactly, which is a whole different conversation in terms of the dynamics of and the structures of power, right? Who decides what art is? And I just went to the MoMA on San Francisco, and there were some wonderful pieces, and there were some pieces that I personally did not, it didn't have any impact on me. But who am I to say this is art and this is not art, right? However, there is a system that creates those levels of you have to be this in order to be considered an artist, and whatever you do has to meet these qualifications to be considered art. But in reality, that's sometimes very arbitrary. And let's recognize um, there are some works of creative works that they leave you, con la boca abierta. But that doesn't mean that because of the level of virtuosity, I guess, or the level of details, but that shouldn't take away the value of other ways in which someone might express their their own views about the universe, right?
yeah, a lot of it is like you said, it's like it does feel arbitrary. And I think it comes down to like what's considered like the gatekeepers of art, like who's curating, who's on the board of like a museum, all the people that get to make those decisions. That's what it comes down to, like what they like, what they're looking for. And I think probably anybody that's been in a museum or gallery has that same experience of like you see something and you just don't like it, or you don't think it's good, and you can't understand why it's there, but yeah, like somebody appreciated it. And another like beautiful art like that I sometimes think about is like this like beautiful artwork, say like from Mexico, that's like they'll call it folk art.
Hmm.
And like these people get paid like really a tiny bit for other people to just buy in bulk and like sell it and make money off of it. And a lot of that, a lot of artwork like that I've seen is like it's museum quality. It's beautiful, like it has a lot of culture, it has stories. And those people are artists, but just the way sometimes it's seen, like maybe a select few like samples of work, um, just made by somebody that's not trying to like like put themselves out there as an artist. They're just making doing their artwork, just producing it to sell it. And so sometimes there are like bits of that and samples that get acknowledged, but a lot of it is just like it's underappreciated.
And then that leads a lot, well, not
Mm.
a lot, but sometimes to the appropriation of 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 the art, right? I remember I studied graphic design, and when I was in college, I remember there was this contest of different colleges for graphic design, and I was part of Bellas Artes, el IMBA, which is, accessible to anyone. Despite the name, it's accessible to anyone. It's a public school, but there were these private schools, and it was really interesting because we went to the showcase of all these design works, and the one that won the contest was a project from a group of students from the La Universidad Iberoamericana, which is, for rich kids. And what they did is they repurposed las bolsas del mandado. So, those bolsas that nuestras mamás usaban para ir al mandado, que they were very colorful, they were woven, and they would just go and buy the groceries and such. What they did is they used the same material to create handbags. And then it was super fancy. And then that won. But then then it became cool. It became cool because the rich kids from this college made them. And so that validated the fact that we're expensive. But before, when they were selling for just few pesos, they were just, populares. They were less. And I've seen other examples of appropriation of like the huicholes art and making it into high fashion. And I think it is again, who are the gatekeepers and who are the ones that decide lo que está bonito, lo que no está bonito, lo que debe de venderse muy caro y lo que no se puede vender caro, etc. So this is a great conversation that we can go deeper into. But first, I'm gonna just acknowledge folks who are joining us tonight. We have a nice comment from Esther Garcia, who happens to be my sister. Hola Rodrigo, besos desde México y pendientes de tu programa. Felicidades a Elizabeth por su trabajo. Muchas gracias, besos desde aquí hasta allá donde están ustedes. Corina, gran amiga, una mujer súper activa en la comunidad, una líder en la comunidad. Hola Rodrigo García y Elizabeth Jiménez Montelongo, amazing artists in our community. Gracias, gracias. Con mucho respeto también para ti. Elizabeth's impact is huge. The oil paintings of the danzantes is one of my favorites. I had to say, I was looking at your work, and those pieces are beautiful. And I saw a clip from Comunidad del Valle, and they were big pieces. I mean, what I see here doesn't really tell me how big they are, but they were big pieces, and they were, they were beautiful, beautiful, and with a lot of movement, something that I really, really enjoy. So thank you, Corina, for your comment. Remember, folks, we're in La Hora del Mitote every Friday from 7 to 8 p.m. here on our página de Facebook, our YouTube channel, and starting to casting on Creative Channel 30th. So estamos por todos lados. We're all over the place. Thank you, Jonathan Gomez. Greetings. This is a wonderful conversation. Elizabeth Jiménez Montelongo's poetry workshops are amazing. Gracias, Jonathan. Thank you for your comment and thank you. Well, vamos a seguirle con esto. Elizabeth, ahora que estamos hablando de, this gatekeeping thing and who decides what's art and what is not, and then all the consequences that this brings, there are very many artists who struggle to get their work seen and appreciated. And that's one part. But the other part too is, how can one become a full-time artist and live as an artist? And I think there is, and I always like to mention this, because there is this perception that art, like, there's no price for that people should contribute to. That tú eres un artista, sobre todo los artistas visuales, que their work belongs in the museums. And yes, they do, but it's also a way of living. So can you tell us a little bit about your personal experience as a full-time artist? How has it been, and how have you been able to sustain and grow a career as a full-time artist?
Right, well, for me, no, it's just been a matter of, like, like we were talking about, like, exhibiting my work so that people know about it. And I've been exhibiting for like 11 years now. And so, like, I met people that see my artwork in exhibitions, or they've seen, like, interviews that I've done. And so, they support my work. Like, if they like it, like, then they'll want to have a painting at home, like, like their favorite ones, that they can, like, look at all the time. And so, I've been I appreciate, like, having that support, not only of like, people that appreciate the work or help me exhibit my work more, but also just like, purchase my work and give it a home, and also help me, like, sustain my my artist career that way. And a lot of I don't know for other artists specifically, but for myself, it's also kind of like pieced together. Like, I make art sales, but I also teach art. um I teach in schools. I teach like alebrije workshops and painting. And I've also taught at the School of Arts and Culture in San Jose. Their summer camps, so it's always been, like, a beautiful experience there. So being an art instructor has been part of it, and also just sometimes, like, presentations, kind of like guest speaker work that I'm invited to do. And lately with like, my poetry workshops, there's some financial support for that. I have the grant from the San Jose Office of Cultural Affairs, so they're funding my projects so that I can provide these poetry events for the community. So like, grants are also another way to to support an artist's career. Sometimes they're small grants, sometimes they're big grants. So yeah, I mean, I don't, like I said, I can't speak for other artists, but I think, at least in the beginning, probably most artists kind of piece it together that way, like, between, like, sales, some kind of instruction, and grants, like project grants.
Thank you. Yeah, I again, when I visited your website, I was pleased to see your work and to learn about the work that you do. But I was also very pleased to see that you have a catalog of your pieces, and that you have the price and people can purchase it. And I think that's wonderful. And I think, I'm not a visual artist, but as an audience, I would recommend folks who have their work to take that extra step to invest on a website. And there are places where you can have websites hosted for free, and develop your catalog, and take a moment to take pictures of your art, and visit Elizabeth's website and have an idea how to market your work, because it is important to, and you are the one that puts the value on your work, but I think it is important to do that and to be proactive about letting people know that your work is not solely for appreciation, that if they love a piece, they can take it home and make it their own, and find the space. And I personally, when I come into a house, I always look around to see what pieces of art are there, whether it's una pequeña escultura o una fotografía, anything that speaks to what the person is interested on, or how they might be reflected through how they decorate their house. That's something that I do. Ya me conocían, soy muy fisgón cuando llego a las casas, pero more than that, it's because I think it helps to also create that identity of your home. Hablamos con muchas voces por varios lugares, y es algo bello, es algo bello. And teaching the kids the appreciation for art, I think it's wonderful. And I think this is a lot of the work that you're doing as a creative ambassador. Tell us, in this last part of the La Hora del Mitote, tell us about your work, the project that you're working on, and how can people, support you and be part of it.
Yes, thank you. So, for palabras and poetry, my poetry writing events, workshops. We'll be having the next one on Friday, May 28th, in collaboration with Latino Outdoors and Post. And so it'll be based on like nature. It's called Migraciones Across Borders. So we're actually going to write with inspiration about like animal migrations. Like there's been lately some like stories about, like there's the basics like birds and butterflies, that have their well-known migrations. But there's also like other animal migrations that we'll talk about in the event, and also just relating that to like migrations of people, which is a big issue, and also in our communities. So just relating like nature and migrations and our own experiences into poetry writing. So this will be Friday, May 28th, and I'll actually be posting that soon on my social media. I'll pass it on, and it's with Latino Outdoors and Post, which is Peninsula Open Space Trust.
And where is this place at?
Oh,
or where will it be happening?
Oh, the event's going to be online, and so what we normally it's I'll share like a poem, and then I give poetry prompts so people can write, and I share one of my own poems, and it's like a progression of poetry prompts. So like people are writing about something, and then the next prompt is related, and then the last one kind of like sums it up. But in this case, I'm just gonna like present these like animal migration stories, and like open for a little bit of discussion, and then I have a writing prompt where people can write, and then after each prompt, people have the opportunity to share what they wrote. And this will all be online, so it'll be via Zoom, so anyone can participate regardless of where they are. And we're also gonna have at least the prompts will be also in Spanish, but I do try to like just share everything that I say as much as possible in Spanish as well. But due to like time constrictions and stuff, at least the prompts will be in Spanish. as well. So people are welcome to participate and yeah, share their the poetry that they write in the workshop in whichever language they feel comfortable sharing.
Writing is something that can be scary for a lot of folks because it can be scary. What would you say to folks who might be interested, but the whole thing about writing, el escribir, les causa temor? ¿Qué podrías comentarles?
Well, it's a no pressure kind of event. It's like even when I call it a workshop, like people aren't pressured to share, even if they just want to like listen to other people, get inspired. But my prompts have so far been they've been successful in that I see that people like write and they'll share it out, so that I know like they wrote that in the workshops. And so I think for people that are curious about writing, like I encourage them to attend the workshop and just be there and just be open to like those prompts. They're very like simple. I usually like even give like like how to start off like a few lines, and then that usually like gets people going, and then it'll just go wherever they want to take it. So sin miedo, like no hay presión, like se invita a todos a que vengan a escribir con nosotros en comunidad. Y si gustan compartir en español o poemas bilingües, también se aprecia mucho en los espacios que se crean cuando hago estos eventos. Creo que se sentirían muy bienvenidos y sin sentirse como juzgados ni nada. Puro, ¿cómo se dice? Pura inspiración y amor.
¿Y estos talleres van a ser multigeneracionales? Es
Sí.
decir, para gente de todas las edades.
Sí, siempre todos son bienvenidos y no ha habido niños, pero yo tengo planes de hacer estos eventos que sean solo para niños, tal vez en colaboración con escuelas y programas, porque pues me encanta trabajar con niños y yo sé que se puede hacer y no importa si pueden escribir muy bien o si solo si están tan chiquitos que solo pueden dibujar, se puede hacer y lo vamos a hacer, así que en este caso también todos son bienvenidos, todos pueden participar, y si yo veo que hay niños y que nos los trajeron para que participen y que escriban, yo les diría cómo hacerle para poder participar con su escritura limitada o dibujo, como sea.
Y esto va a ser el viernes 28 de abril.
No, el 28 de mayo.
Oh, 28 de mayo, ok. Viernes 28 de mayo. ¿A qué horas va a ser?
A las 6:30. Es una hora, de 6:30 a 7:30.
El 28 de mayo, de las 6:30 a las 7:30. ¿Y cómo se puede unir la gente para darle? ¿Te buscan en tu página de Facebook? ¿O cómo sería la mejor manera para que las personas se pudieran unir y pudieran participar?
Sí, apenas lo vamos a anunciar, así que la próxima semana ya va a estar en mi sitio web, so es ejmontelongo.com, ejmontelongo.com. Y también en Facebook, es facebook.com, I'll say in English, facebook.com/ejmontelongo. And Instagram is at Elizabeth Jiménez Montelongo. So I'll be posting that information, and Latino Outdoors will be sharing the Eventbrite. So on their Eventbrite account and post, and Latino Outdoors will also be sharing on their social media. So if you follow those organizations or you'd like to, they'll also be posting.
we will be, looking forward to this taller. Y en cuanto tenga la información, o la mandas, and we're happy to also, put it on our Facebook page, so
Oh,
more
thank you.
people can attend. Ya saben, el viernes 28 de mayo, de las 6:30 a las 8:30, van a poder tener la oportunidad de participar en este taller de poesía con Elizabeth Jiménez Montelongo, una destacada artista visual y poeta, que hace este trabajo como parte de su labor como embajadora creativa, que esto es parte de una iniciativa grande de la Oficina de Asuntos Culturales de la ciudad de San José. Y si quieren también informarse un poco más acerca de estas iniciativas y de otros proyectos que está iniciando la ciudad de San José a través de la Oficina de Asuntos Culturales, pueden ir a wecreate408.org, donde pueden ver de este trabajo. La idea es el poder activar la creatividad en nuestras comunidades y reconocer, y que la gente reconozca que somos, que tenemos un montón de creatividad en nosotros, y que a veces lo único que nos hace falta es como la razón para hacerlo. Y esta es una gran oportunidad el participar en este taller de poesía con Elizabeth Jiménez Montelongo el viernes 28 de abril de las 6:30 a las 8:30. Y para informarse, para registrarse, etcétera, pueden visitar www.ejmontelongo.com, también en Instagram, en Elizabeth Jiménez Montelongo,
Ujú.
y en Facebook, EJ Montelongo. Los dije bien.
Sí, gracias por compartir. Sí,
Claro.
en mayo, falta todo un mes para que reserven el día.
Y lo mejor es que puede asistir la familia completa. Pueden pasar un momento de creatividad. Y también yo les recomendaría a la gente que se permitan la oportunidad de sorprenderse a sí mismos, porque una vez en que estás en el momento ideal, salen un montón de cosas que en ocasiones no sabíamos que podíamos ser capaces de expresar. Entonces, date la oportunidad, tú que me estás viendo, date la oportunidad de desarrollar, de desatar tu ser creativo participando en este taller que Elizabeth Jiménez Montelongo está poniendo como parte de su labor como embajadora creativa de este año, que es también este proyecto de Creative Ambassadors. Es un proyecto que trae a un grupo de artistas para poder hacer trabajo con la comunidad en diferentes etapas. Para cerrar y para empezar a concluir nuestra plática, en tu experiencia como educadora, ¿qué consejos les darías a las familias con respecto a la importancia de promover la creatividad dentro de su familia, entre ellos mismos, y si tienen hijos, hijas, que también puedan ser partícipes? ¿Qué recomendación podrías darles?
Pues sí me parece muy importante que los niños tengan sus experiencias creativas y bueno, no se necesita mucho para poder lograr eso, solo como motivarlos para que se pongan, aunque sea a dibujar, con lo que tengan, marcadores, crayones, lápices, a dibujar, a usar si tienen como plastilina, Play-Doh, lo que sea. Yo me acuerdo de chiquita a veces tenía una idea como para hacer una escultura y si no teníamos en ese momento plastilina, yo usaba papel y me acuerdo de como una casita que construí así de papel con cinta y papel y mi lápiz ahí para dibujarle las ventanitas a la casa. Entonces se puede con lo que sea que tengan en la casa, o cartón hasta de, de las cajas, se pueden hacer esculturas, cualquier cosa se puede pintar. Sí, es algo que también pueden hacer proyectos con sus hijos, o nomás que les den una idea, como, se quiere dibujar esto, o tener estos colores para, para pintar algo que te guste, como una caricatura o algo que les llame el interés a los niños. Y también pues hay a veces clases que pueden tomar o videos como en YouTube que les enseñan a hacer algo simple, también así mismo con lo que tienen en la casa disponible. So, ya nomás de buscar alguna manera de decirles y de apoyarlos o hacer el proyecto con ellos para que les interese. Y a mi hija yo le tengo, sí, tiene su mesita y tiene su espacio para crear arte, y tiene pues sus pinturitas, sus lápices, marcadores, su Play-Doh, y pues ella cuando quiere y tiene, aunque sea un espacio chiquito, pero ahí tiene su espacio para sentarse a hacer sus trabajitos, así que a veces que me ve pintando, haciendo algo, ella también se pone a, a pintar, a hacer esculturas, o a veces nomás que tiene ella ganas y ya sabe que yo le apoyo con lo que quiera hacer, y hallamos la manera de hacerlo.
Y algo muy importante también, muchísimas gracias, Elizabeth. Algo muy importante, el reconocer de que todos tenemos diferentes maneras de expresarnos. La mayoría de las personas nos expresamos verbalmente, pero hay otras maneras en las que nos expresamos y en las que también estamos tratando de decir algo. Y sobre todo yo lo he visto en los jóvenes, sobre todo en los más pequeñitos, que tratan de decir cosas que no pueden todavía por cuestiones de que no tienen todo el vocabulario, pero lo dicen a través de imágenes y para ellos significa muchísimo. Y es muy importante que las familias pongan atención a eso y que lo celebren con los pequeñitos. Aunque sea un rayón, una rayita alrededor, y que de repente llega el niño o la niña y le dice a la mamá, mira, es una vaca. Hay que celebrarlo, porque eso puede ser el principio de algo increíblemente creativo y sobre todo el reconocer que no silenciarlos, es a lo que voy, ¿no? No silenciarlos y no silenciar su talento, no porque todos vayan a terminar siendo artistas visuales, pero el hecho de validar los mensajes que podemos comunicar a través de diferentes medios. Yo creo que eso es muy importante, el celebrar las formas, diferentes maneras que tenemos de comunicarnos y promover la creatividad entre la familia. Como decía Elizabeth, no se requiere de cosas caras. Yo me acuerdo creciendo, la manera en como nosotros hacíamos figuritas o esculturas era con tierra y agua, con lodo. Y con eso hacíamos y creábamos mundos y jugábamos, a veces hasta con piedras. Las piedras se pueden volver personajes, no se requieren de nada fuera de lo común o de una gran inversión económica. El hecho es simplemente tener la disposición de poder abrir un espacio para que la creatividad y la imaginación fluyan. Así que familias, pónganse a hacer arte, pónganse a crear espacios creativos, enseñen y enseñemos el valor que tiene el poder expresarnos. Apoyemos a artistas como Elizabeth Jiménez Montelongo, asistiendo a sus eventos, comprando sus piezas, mandándoles un like en sus páginas, simplemente hablando de ellos, del trabajo. Hoy, si vieron este trabajo, vayan y digan, ¿qué creen? Conocimos a una nueva artista, Elizabeth Jiménez Montelongo, y su website es ejmontelongo.com. Vayan y visítenlo. Hay muchas maneras de apoyar y es importante que apoyemos a artistas como Elizabeth Jiménez Montelongo, tanto como es importante que promovamos la creatividad en nuestras familias. ¿Algo más que quieras agregar para cerrar, Elizabeth?
No, más también me encanta lo que dijo de celebrar como la creatividad de los niños, de lo que sea, y también de uno mismo, lo que sea que puedan dibujar o escribir o cualquier tipo de arte o de creatividad, de apreciar pues de lo que hacemos y ya el solo hecho de hacer las cosas a veces como que se puede uno como relajar y no tener tanto como estrés y tantos como pensamientos negativos. No importa cómo salga, al menos saca, como que uno saca la energía así, creando algo, haciendo algo creativo. So ya me gustó que mencionó eso. Y muchas gracias por invitarme hoy. Disfruté mucho hablar con usted hoy.
Muchísimas gracias, Elizabeth Jiménez Montelongo, que es una de las Creative Ambassadors de este año de parte de la Oficina de Asuntos Culturales de la ciudad de San José. Su sitio donde pueden aprender más acerca de su trabajo y comprar sus piezas o simplemente leer más y saber más acerca de lo que está haciendo Elizabeth es www.ejmontelongo.com. También pueden encontrarla en su página de Instagram, Elizabeth Jiménez Montelongo, o en su página de Facebook, EJ Montelongo. Con eso nos despedimos esta noche. Muchísimas gracias a las personas que estuvieron con nosotros en nuestra página de Facebook, en nuestro canal de YouTube. And thank you to everyone who were watching us on channel 30th of Create TV. Starting tonight, we are broadcasting La Hora del Mitote every Friday at 7 p.m. on channel 30th of Create TV. And we continue to have these conversations every Friday at 7 p.m. on our Facebook page and our YouTube channel. Muchísimas gracias y que disfruten este fin de semana. Hasta pronto.